I've always had a soft spot for sidekicks, those unsung heroes. You know the ones. Sherlock Holmes had Dr. Watson.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
Batman had Robin.
Holy heart failure!
Han Solo had Chewbacca. Those guys never got top billing, but they're always there, always dependable. And today, we are devoting this entire episode to the unsung hero of the holiday world, the holiday sidekick we lovingly call New Year's Day. Always overshadowed by the cultural monolith of Christmas, New Year's is usually a mere afterthought. No presents, no caroling, no cookies, just maybe a funny hat, cheap champagne, and a noisemaker. But not today, because we are giving New Year's its proper recognition, delving into some of the weird customs and traditions that make this holiday truly unique. So it's time for the Luigi, Tonto, and Samwise Gamgee of holidays to finally move front and center. Welcome to the New Year's edition of the podcast that answers some of the questions you've always wondered about.
It's the Always Wondered podcast.
Hi, I'm Rick Peterson. Thanks for joining us. We begin with this simple question. Have you always wondered, why does New Year start on January 1st? I mean, why not April or May or any other month where the weather isn't slapping us in the face? For the answer, we travel back to ancient Rome, where togas were in, aqueducts were trending, and the calendar was, well, a hot mess.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, the new year begins in March.
That's true. The new year once began with the spring equinox, which makes sense. Renewal, birds chirping, flowers doing their flowery thing. But Romans, being Romans, said,
"Nah, that's too logical."
So they jammed a couple extra months into their calendar before March, including January, named after the god Janus. You've probably seen drawings depicting him. The dude with two faces, each pointing in a different direction. Janus was the god of...
looking both ways before crossing the street?
Not exactly. He was the god of beginnings and endings.
Oh.
And when Julius Caesar came to power, he loved that branding so much, he decreed,
"The new year will henceforth begin on January 1st, in honor of my two-faced freaky friend, Janus."
And even though Caesar had his critics,
Et tu, Brute?
his idea of January 1st held on, at least in Rome. But elsewhere, different places still chose to bring in the new year at different times. Some chose Christmas, some chose Easter, some maybe flipped a coin and said,
Okay, the new year begins on Tuesday.
However, in 1582, Pope Gregory stepped in to finally put everyone on the same page.
From this day forward, we shall now all use the same calendar.
Can mine still have pictures of cats?
Fine, whatever.
The Gregorian calendar is the one we use today. It fixed a lot of problems, kind of like updating your phone for the first time since 2017. But most importantly, it kept January 1st as New Year's Day, where it's been ever since. So that is the strange, messy, politically chaotic story of why we now chant
3, 2, 1!
on a freezing night every December.
The Always Wondered podcast.
There are lots of weird New Year's customs from around the world. Like in Denmark, people save old dishes all year. And then on New Year's, they smash them on porches of friends and families to bring luck. Part tradition, part easy way of getting out of doing the dishes. In countries like Spain and Italy, the color of underwear you wear determines your luck in the coming year. Red equals love, yellow for money, green means health.
What about my Spider-Man underoos?
I think they say you're in for a very awkward 12 months.
I was afraid of that.
And in China and Latin America, you literally sweep the bad luck out of your house on New Year's Eve and don't sweep at all on New Year's Day for fear of sweeping away good fortune.
Finally, a holiday tradition that says, I don't have to do housework.
And here in the U.S., have you always wondered why we watch a giant ball on New Year's Eve? Well, the story begins in the 1800s, in the harbors of England, where sailors needed a way to accurately set their watches for navigation purposes. You know, something more reliable than squinting into the sun.
Well, I'd say it's about 2-ish. You know, give or take a few hours.
Enter the time ball, a big orb that would sit on a pole and drop at exactly the same time every day, usually 1 p.m. Now cut to 1907 New York. Times Square is new, the town is bustling, the city wants a huge New Year's Eve celebration. They've tried fireworks, but with mixed results. That's when someone in the room, probably after way too much coffee, had an idea.
Hey, how about we drop a giant glowing sphere instead?
So they built their own time ball out of iron, wood, and light bulbs.
It was basically a disco ball inside another disco ball.
And a tradition was born. Today's ball is much larger, way brighter, and even more spectacular. But in the process, we learn something about humanity. We can drop almost anything slowly from the top of a building. A sphere, a giant toaster, oversized zucchini. As long as it's big and shiny and a countdown is involved, we will gladly stand in sub-freezing temperatures and cheer it on.
It's the Always Wondered podcast.
We greet the new year with hope, optimism, and a list of promises that we break by about January 4th. So have you always wondered where the custom of New Year's resolutions began? Our first stop is ancient Babylon, about 4,000 years ago. During a 12-day festival surrounding their new year, people made promises to the gods.
I promise to return all the tools I borrowed. Please, don't smite me.
They weren't exactly I'm going to lose 10 pounds or I'll start journaling type resolutions, but they were promises to be better. Then along came the Romans. They would spend a week partying non-stop at New Year's during their festival Saturnalia. And they too would pray. But their prayers would go to Janus, the god with two faces, as they tried to save face.
Dear Janus, I vow to be good. Just as soon as this hangover subsides.
Now fast forward many hundreds of years, and medieval monks turned New Year's into a time of repenting and reflecting.
I pledge to help the poor, be humble, and avoid gluttony. Wait, isn't that a turkey leg hidden under your robe? Okay, the gluttony thing is a work in progress, all right?
But by the 1700s, New Year's resolutions became what they are today, all about self-improvement.
I'm going to run every day.
I'm going to drink more water.
I'm going to learn to play ukulele. The one I bought on impulse during that Black Friday sale.
And of course, by the middle of January, most of us are like,
never mind.
But go ahead and make your resolutions. Usher in the new year and pretend you'll actually use that gym membership for longer than a week. And know this, the entire history of humanity believes in you. Kind of.
The Always Wondered podcast.
Okay, our New Year's episode would not be complete without questioning, have you always wondered how Auld Lang Syne became the official soundtrack to the new year? Well, Auld Lang Syne comes from a poem by Scottish legend Robert Burns, written in 1788 and set to an even older Scottish folk tune. Think of Burns as the Taylor Swift of sentimental folk songs, except with more bagpipes and a lot fewer Instagram followers. Now fast forward to the 1920s, and big band leader Guy Lombardo and his Royal Canadians begin playing the song on their New Year's Eve radio special.
Don't know why, but people loved it. And the tradition stuck. Kind of like your ringtone from 2008 that you still can't figure out how to change.
And since then, every New Year's Eve, at the stroke of midnight, the world becomes one giant karaoke bar where everyone sings those immortal lyrics. Should old acquaintance be forgot? Something, something, cup of kindness, something, something.
Oh, those words always bring a tear to my eye.
I'm sorry, here's a tissue. Well, as the year winds down, we want to take a brief moment to give a shout out to the podcast Playground, Gentry and all the crew there for their support and guidance in bringing this podcast to you over the past year. And we especially want to thank you for listening. I know we all live busy lives, and the fact that you carve out a bit of time each week to spend with us, that means a lot. It really does. All right. As always, we leave you with one to ponder. Have you always wondered why Father Time looks so old, considering he only works one day a year? Until next time, stay curious and keep wondering. I'm Rick Peterson. Thanks for listening.
And a happy new year. The Always Wondered podcast.
If you like what you hear, please subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, and a review. Listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you pod. Feel free to offer suggestions for future topics or simply reach out to alwayswonderedpodcast@gmail.com.